This is Global Currency Insight, and today we are diving into a story that has caught the attention of millions of people around the world. Could one of the biggest financial turning points in recent memory be close at hand? For years, people have been talking about the possible revaluation of the Iraqi dinar and even the Vietnamese dong. These discussions have sparked endless debates, speculations, and hopes. Now, with recent developments, many are once again asking the question, is something major about to happen? In the next several minutes, we'll carefully walk through the latest updates, explain what's been happening in Iraq and Vietnam, and highlight the signals that suggest these countries are preparing for big steps in their financial systems. Stay with me because the details we're about to cover could change how you look at this entire situation. Over the past few weeks, officials in Iraq have made a series of statements about their monetary policies. The Central Bank of Iraq in particular spoke about efforts to stabilize the national currency and strengthen the country's overall economy. On the surface, this might sound like routine government talk, but when we place these remarks in the wider context of what else is happening, they start to stand out. Iraq has been working hand in hand with international organizations on reforms aimed at updating its financial infrastructure. New regulations have been introduced, and banking systems are being modernized. It's important to understand that a currency system cannot shift dramatically overnight without extensive preparation. Before any change in value could even be considered, the entire financial framework would need to be secure and ready to handle it. That is why these ongoing updates in Iraq are being followed so closely. Beyond the internal developments in Iraq, there have been signs of growing cooperation with global financial bodies. Programs designed to support stability and modernization have seen more Iraqi involvement than in the past. Observers have also noticed activity in the foreign exchange markets where the dinar is concerned. While the trading volume isn't large, the trend shows that institutional players are watching carefully. It's often the case that when larger entities begin to take interest, it indicates that preparations or expectations may be forming in the background. These are the kinds of subtle signals that fuel the ongoing discussions about whether the dinar could eventually see adjustments in value. Another factor that cannot be overlooked is Iraq's dependence on oil exports. Oil is the backbone of the Iraqi economy and the primary source of revenue for the government. Over the past year, Iraq's oil production has been relatively stable, and prices have held within a predictable range. This stability is crucial because no country can strengthen its currency without a dependable revenue stream to support it. At the same time, Iraq has been making moves to diversify its economy, directing investments into infrastructure, education, and technology. These initiatives suggest a longer-term vision that goes beyond just oil and points to a broader foundation for economic resilience. What makes the current moment particularly interesting is the diplomatic activity surrounding Iraq. Officials have been meeting with counterparts from multiple nations, and the discussions have gone beyond simple courtesy calls. Many of these meetings focus on trade opportunities, investment possibilities, and financial cooperation. When a country begins to negotiate these kinds of partnerships more openly, it is usually preparing for wider economic integration. Iraq has even announced new measures for handling international transactions, making it easier for foreign companies to operate in the country. These are not small adjustments, they represent a deliberate attempt to open doors to global commerce and strengthen financial ties abroad. Meanwhile, in Vietnam, there are also conversations about the potential future of the Vietnamese Dong. Like Iraq, Vietnam has been reforming its economy and strengthening relationships with international partners. The country has positioned itself as a key manufacturing hub in Asia, attracting foreign companies and increasing its role in global supply chains. With steady export growth and a relatively stable political environment, Vietnam has gained more recognition as a country on the rise. Although there has been less direct talk of revaluation compared to Iraq, the same kinds of modernization steps, new banking rules, greater foreign investment, and stronger international trade connections have kept the idea alive in the minds of many who follow these markets. Returning to Iraq, one of the most striking elements has been the acceleration of technical updates. The central bank has worked with international technology providers to overhaul outdated systems. These upgrades are not cosmetic. They are fundamental changes designed to support modern banking practices, electronic transactions, and cross-border operations. Undertaking this level of infrastructure development suggests that a specific goal is in mind. Countries do not spend significant time and money on these projects unless they expect to need them for upcoming changes. This is why so many are interpreting the timing of these moves as more than coincidence. Skepticism has always been part of the Iraqi dinar conversation. People have been waiting for years, and previous moments of hope have come and gone without the expected outcomes. It's important to recognize that major changes in currency values are never simple. They require careful planning, political approval, and a strong economic foundation. The fact that it has not happened yet does not mean it cannot happen in the future. Historical examples, such as the Kuwaiti dinar after the Gulf War, demonstrate that currencies can rebound under the right conditions. Iraq's situation is different, but the underlying theme of rebuilding and restoring strength is similar. One of the indicators worth noting is the increase in official statements about currency and financial reform. The frequency of these public remarks has gone up in recent months. When leaders begin speaking more openly about monetary policy, it often signals that real decisions are being made behind the scenes. Added to this is the high level of cooperation with international organizations. Development projects backed by global institutions are being carried out across Iraq, pointing to confidence that the country is ready for further steps. These partnerships not only provide technical support, but also show that major financial players are invested in Iraq's progress. Another detail that has caught attention is the timeline of Iraq's simultaneous reforms. Banking updates, regulatory changes, and infrastructure investments are all moving forward together rather than separately. This type of coordinated approach usually happens when there is a broader plan in motion. The government and financial authorities appear to be following a structured path, one that may lead to new possibilities for the currency system. While no official announcement has been made about revaluation, the scale and synchronization of these efforts are hard to ignore. Looking beyond Iraq, Vietnam also continues to draw speculation. The Vietnamese economy has proven to be resilient, particularly during global supply chain disruptions. Factories and production facilities in Vietnam have become key alternatives to those in other countries, and foreign investment has poured in as a result. The Dong remains tightly managed by the government. And while talk of revaluation is more cautious, the structural progress Vietnam is making has given rise to discussions about whether adjustments could eventually take place there as well. The key similarity with Iraq is the visible preparation through reforms and modernization. For people who currently hold Iraqi Dinar or Vietnamese Dong, the idea of a sudden and dramatic increase in value has always been part of the conversation. However, it's critical to remember that nothing of this scale is ever guaranteed. The actual rate of any adjustment, if it happens at all, would depend on many factors including government policy, debt levels, revenue flows, and international agreements. The discussions we are seeing now are more about the groundwork being laid and the signals pointing toward readiness rather than firm predictions about exact outcomes. Recent public comments from Iraqi officials give the impression of greater confidence in their financial stability. Confidence is an essential ingredient for any currency reform. Leaders need to believe that they can sustain a new system before moving forward with it. At the same time, neighboring countries in the Middle East have been watching Iraq closely, and some have signaled interest in expanding trade and investment. This regional cooperation could add another layer of support if Iraq decides to take significant financial steps. Having partners willing to engage economically provides much-needed reassurance during such transitions. Another sign worth observing is the interest from private businesses. More international companies have been looking at Iraq and Vietnam as potential markets for expansion. This type of commercial attention suggests that the global business community is starting to view these countries as more stable and attractive destinations. Business expansion brings in jobs, investment, and technology, which in turn strengthen the local economies. A healthier economy provides a stronger foundation for currency stability and any possible adjustments in value. Even with all these positive signals, it's important to recognize the challenges. Currency markets are sensitive to political events, global economic shifts, and sudden changes in confidence. Reforms can take time, and governments may delay decisions if circumstances change. While the current environment looks more favorable than in past years, patience is still required. The process of preparing a currency for major adjustments is long and complex. The fact that Iraq and Vietnam are making visible progress is encouraging, but outcomes remain uncertain. In conclusion, the combination of financial reforms, international cooperation, and growing business interest has created a unique moment for both Iraq and Vietnam. The Iraqi dinar and the Vietnamese dong are once again at the center of speculation, and while no one can say for certain what will happen, the evidence shows that these countries are actively preparing for stronger economic roles. Whether this preparation leads to revaluation or simply greater stability, it marks a new chapter in their financial stories. For those following closely, the coming months will be an important period to watch as developments continue to unfold in both nations.